tons of power. But we still don't have quite enough delta V. This stage here, especially if we look at the atmospheric delta V, about 2100. We really need at least 3500 and ideally 4000 over there. I can't make this any bigger because it's really not going to have quite enough push. So now we're going to need to asparagus-ify this a wee bit. Now I'd like this to look kind of cool. Coolness is important. So, do we have procedural nose cones? We do. Can the procedural nose cones do like cool angled stuff? Because that's going to be important. So what we need is, we need the radial decouplers. And the ones with a certain amount of space here, probably. Something like that. And we want, let's use the actual built-in big orange tanks. So that's on the radial decoupler. Nice, excellent. And then, so for the nose cone, because I like these angled ones, but they're too small. So let's use the procedural nose cone and give it a correct diameter. Make it a little bit longer. And then give it a different style. Oh, I don't think it does any of the slanty ones. Ah, boo. So it doesn't really matter. I don't even have to use a procedural one. We can just do something like this. That's gonna be okay. God. Let's see here. You're gonna light first, then it decouples. We'll adjust this after. And we are gonna need more engines in these things. We don't need the heaviest ones though. Let's do 2.5 meters. Engine. So, is it the skipper that we want? I think so, yeah. We don't need the mainsails. The skipper is probably going to be enough to compensate for that. And maybe, like, more than enough. So, let's take this off. Go into symmetry mode. Get one on each side. And then we're going to run the fuel lines. There it is. From here to there. So now all three engines light simultaneously, then it goes. So now we're talking about, in the bottom here, we're looking at 27, call it 28. It's actually more than that, 2800 delta V. That's not a bad start, and more than enough thrust to weight. In fact, it's going to be firing kind of aggressively. So we'll get another set of these, split up the decoupling, and call this set here sort of the asparagus. Did I not split up the decoupling? Hello. Oh yeah, okay. So, these guys run, pump all their fuel over there, we drop them, then the next, and then the next. We do have a ridiculous amount of delta V though. We can definitely put more fuel in these bad boys. And I think we're gonna need that. And so we're about 3,300 or so. So yeah, we're gonna need a little bit more fuel. So let's go to the fuel containers again. And oops. And get, say, these here. Now, I'm sure I could make this lighter and more fuel efficient, but it's only, you know, it's only money. So now what are we looking at? Again, we'll round down, so we'll call this 1,400, 3,600, probably more about 3,700. That's not bad. Technically, it's still not quite enough, but it's probably okay. Because we did build in a lot of margin for error in a lot of different areas. Now, this setup has a crazy amount of gimbling at the bottom. I don't expect that we'll really need fins to keep us upright. What do we think? More space duct tape. Yep, just added that in. It's a big beast. So right now, this whole thing costs about $250,000 Kerbal bucks to build, which isn't very expensive. Now, we're not super aerodynamic at the top, so we might lose some of our delta V there, which wouldn't be fantastic. Yeah, I usually want around to 4K. Yeah, I feel like we need a wee bit more. Now, we don't really have... I don't really want to decrease the thrust to weight any more than this. I could have some extra engines. There's a few different things I could do. The simplest might just be to add a few solid rocket boosters to get us started. They're really cheap. They don't really add much in the way of delta V. Mostly they just give you a little bit of thrust to weight, but they would still give you a fair amount. Like if we just squeeze in a few right in between here. You know what I mean? So we move these to down there. Move those decouplers to down there. Oh, really? They burn that long? There you go. I'm actually surprised the SRBs burn that long. So actually, okay, what I can do is put these here. And again, see how that's got the 0 stage? That's because the SRBs are actually going to burn longer than the first set of fuel tanks. So there we go. So now we're talking about 21, call it 27, 29 and a half. It's not really doing it for us, are we? And the actual initial thrust weight is going to be a little insane. Alright, I think that's going to be lots. As long as the aerodynamics don't fail us, I think this is going to be okay. Oop, we got to reattach the struts. More space tape. Well, let's give it a try. What could possibly go wrong? It is very long. Oh, I forgot I need to add some more struts up here. More space tape. Over here to stop some wobble. Oh, it's not happy about that. There we go. Because otherwise that will wobble. Decouplers are notoriously wibbly wobbly and unstable. Here comes the boom. 20 Kerbals, I believe they have been added in. Yep, they're all there. Everyone's in place. We've got 2 months worth of life support. I believe we've over-engineered these stages. It wouldn't surprise me if we end up using a little bit of this to circularize our orbit. But I think that's going to be okay. It will be really unstable and hard to maneuver. This launch is going to be brutal. In fact, we're going to have to go with a relatively vertical ascent. Which makes me a little unhappy. One way to add a bit more stability is to space tape all the way up to there. And all the way up to there. To compensate for the fact that this decoupler would have a little bit of wobble in it. So it ain't pretty, but it's a space bus. Let's give it a try. What could possibly go wrong? Exactly. The abort plan is crash into the ground very hard. Yep, absolutely. Check the staging. So we've got all 4 engines, or all 5 engines fire. Then we decouple the outer asparagus, then the inner asparagus. Then we decouple that, and actually probably decouple and launch. Well, no, there should really be a little delay in between. Decouple, fire, decouple, fire, decouple, Fire. And decouple. And really, it's weird, like, there's not a state, you can't stage the deployment of this, which is a little bit awkward, but that's okay. All right, let's give it a try. It's held together by paper clips and space tape. What could possibly go wrong? Absolutely. So we have 22 Kerbals loaded on a ship, and we're gonna try to land on the moon. I swear to God, the hardest part of this is gonna be getting this thing to land goddamn upright when we get to the moon. Got our crazy Delta V stats over there. We need mech jeb to extend out. We don't need you. We need our orbit info, surface info. I mean, we don't need the orbit info yet, but we will. Let's hard save is what? Shift F5? Alt F5. Alt F5. It's been a while since I played. SAS, turn on. Throttle set to full. Let's go. Could possibly go wrong. We are go for launch. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition. We have liftoff. Liftoff of the space. Oh my God! Big explosion just hit. Who just timed that? Charlesy. Oh, what timing! Thank you very much. I know I've said it before, but this is the last time. Happy birthday, buddy. Charlesy! What a time to come in with the explosion. Thank you very much. Really, really, wow. You have been incredible. Thank you so very much. And also for the scaring. 10 out of 10. Would freak out again. We gotta start our gravity turn shortly. We're not quite at speed, but we're sort of at height. So I'm gonna just tip over a scooch. And we're just locking ourselves to prograde over here. Although, did I stage too early? I don't think I did. No, I think it was okay. I'm actually not entirely trusting the SAS, so I think I'm gonna babysit it at least for a little bit longer. This is a very unwieldy ship, and the SAS could easily make a bad decision. Okay, we may be gravity turning a little too much. I'm gonna actually try to delay it a bit. In fact, I suspect we very much are gravity turning too much. So I'm just pulling up a little bit here. How's our time to apoapsis is, yeah, too low. It's starting to climb. I gotta stay still mostly within the yellow circle here and not go too far over, but I'm trying to delay it, because yeah, we're pitched over too much. We're gonna be too shallow. Which is sort of very efficient for like circularizing, but it may not be leaving us from the atmosphere soon enough. Okay, I think we're a little bit more on schedule. Time to apoapsis is climbing. Good. At this stage, we want it to be climbing slowly. So, there we go. Actually, maybe I was going a little too steep. So, stage again. Try to avoid steering while you're staging, because you can whack the engines, and that's very bad. Pitch over. So we'd like the time to apoapsis to hit maybe about 45 seconds, and then sort of stabilize, which we can do by pitching down. If we pitch down, the time to apo will grow more slowly. Or you can also bring down your engines, but I'm not going to do that. So we're trying to go 90 degrees to the east, because this is the best, because A, that's the rotation of Kerbin, which means we get more of a kick. That's also the direction that the moon is orbiting. We'll take a look at the Kerbals inside. I don't know if you can get an IVA from inside of there. Looking okay. 45 seconds, climbing very slowly, which is basically spot on. I'm just gonna, very soon, I'm just gonna tell probably Mech Jeb to just lock itself to orbital prograde. And be very happy about that. There you go. Orbit mode. I'm just gonna pitch down. We're high enough that atmosphere is basically nothing. And I'm actually just going to go straight 90 degrees at this point. Our apoapsis. Okay, now apoapsis is shrinking, so it's too early to go straight 90 degrees. Apo is raising slightly, which I'm okay with. And we're targeting an apoapsis of, well, somewhere above 70, because that gets us out of the atmosphere. And usually I just aim for 100, because it's a nice round number, but we'll do what we can. Yeah, we're not going to circularize with this stage. Oh, we're getting a little bit of flame effects. We're okay. Charlesy, thank you again. Although, I'm hoping that's the last explosion we hear today, because otherwise that means some Kerbals are going to die. Alright, Time to Absolute is climbing quickly here, but that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and just burn through the rest of the stage and actually... Oops. Kill that. You know what? Burn the rest of the stage. It's okay. It's nearly done. There it is. And stage. And I'm going to throttle all the way down and then stage again to ignite this engine. Let me quick save first. Okay, this engine is lit, but the throttle's off. There we go. We're not quite in space, but it's feeling kind of spacey now. Look at this flowing away, which is great. So we are going to have to use this to circularize, which isn't quite ideal, but isn't too bad at all. So, to circularize, well, I should wait until I'm in space. But yeah, we overshot this a little bit too. It's quite a bit higher than it needs to be. So not the most efficient ascent, but it certainly could have been a lot worse. Could have been a lot worse. This was a very hard ship to launch. Look at that just spiral away. We're not quite in space yet. We're still in the atmosphere, which means if you pay attention to the apoapsis, it'll be dropping slightly because we're getting just the tiniest bit of air resistance. Look at this just spiral behind us. Doesn't that look fantastic and majestic? We can get an internal view from Jebediah here. And if we look over, there's another Kerbal there and another one there. So we've got a 6-person crew. Mission log. Liftoff successful, but a bit early. Left the cockpit to get a snack. Was tasty. Oh, and we're in space. You can hear the space music. Wonderful. So can I get an IVA? Oh, I can! So these are the people in the passenger module. Okay, someone here is in the front. How do we... Let's get someone further back. Stacey, over here. There we are. Oh, it's so exciting! Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. We've just entered space. If you'll please stay seated with your seatbelt fastened until we achieve circular orbit. We'll be passing out some light refreshments soon enough. We did it, space. First try on a new ship design. That's crazy sauce. All right, so now that we're in space, our info is stable, so we can actually just go ahead and plan our maneuver over here, which is just to circularize. It's just going to be the tiniest little burn because we're actually very, very flat. And all we have to do is burn enough to bring our periapsis above 70 so that we can stay in orbit. But if we want to actually be circular, it'll be... which isn't actually all that important here. There we go. Somewhere around there. See, as soon as they start to move, that's a sign that you're getting close to circularizing. So that's going to be pretty close. So we have 10 minutes before we retrieve the burn, our location. The burn time is estimated to be 26 seconds. I do have a mod for better burn time, which should be more accurate for this. Typically in vanilla Kerbal, if you're trying to... check the estimated burn on an engine you haven't actually lit yet, it's going to be horribly inaccurate, but it should work here. I don't know what these little bits and bobs mean at the bottom. That's part of the mod, definitely. I've got Scatterer running. I've got no other real visual enhancements other than Scatterer, but it does look really nice. I love the haze of this, which actually some of it is now built in as of 1.1. Could be 3, I'm not sure. But it's quite nice, quite lovely. So we're just going to go ahead and pretty much advance time until we get to the maneuver node. We're not going to click there. It's got to be on the right line. I should just use the Kerbal alarm clock. There we go. Warp to here. I mean, I guess I could have clicked past it and just say warp to next maneuver. But that would have been all right. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? Stop. Deploy solar panels. Now, luckily, we do have a lot of power. We had tons of electric charge. And also, now we're on the dark side, so we're not going to get the power anyway. But it should be perfectly fine over here. So there's a solar panel. Oh, we did have the flat solar panels for exactly this sort of eventuality, which is going to be okay. Anyway, you're going to be prograding to the node, but we're not there quite yet. So time warp a little bit more. Try not to overshoot it. Ooh. Did they change this that when you... Oh, that's right. I actually changed my button mapping so that when I hit X, which is my universal like panic button, X decelerates you. I also have that stop the time warp and have it stop instantly. So you can see, even though this is a big, long, unwieldy ship, the reaction wheels in the command module are ridiculously potent. So we're going to start the burn ideally when we're about at 16 seconds. Oh, these bits, are they going down? Are they timing us? Oh, they are. I wonder if that's telling us when we should go. Maybe when the little dots are away. Yeah, the little dots are away. That's when it should start the burn. Ish. Started a little early, but that's alright. And I'm just going to pay attention to the periapsis. Maybe I should have waited for the multi kick in. And we're just going to get this. I'm going to make sure the apoapsis doesn't start to climb suddenly. And I call that circular enough. That's going to be fine. So we're well above. We're now in proper orbit around Kerbin. I know it's a little dark over here. I love the little rainbow haze along there. That's okay, but there's our ship. You know what I didn't do? I didn't add lights to the outside of the ship so it would look cool. Aww. The dots are logarithmic node burn countdown. Oh, so you wait till all the dots are gone and then you run them. Cool. Feel the power of the dark side. We should be playing some Dark Side of the Moon right now, eh? I mean, that's Dark Side of Kerbin, but you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so where is the moon? There is the moon. When do we start our burn to the moon? We're going to start it right around here-ish. And the rule of thumb, if you don't have maneuver nodes, you can still hit the moon. What you do is you wait until you see the moon rise, and then you burn prograde. Now, we can do it a little bit more manually here, or maneuverly, by planning that, burning prograde, and we'll encounter the moon somewhere over there. So then what I can do is I can focus the view on the moon, and click on our maneuver node, and tweak a little bit. We'll have to make an adjustment regardless because my burn won't be perfect. But in a perfect world, somewhere around there. Probably will want to end up a little bit lower, but I'm not going to futz around with it anymore. So it's going to take 771 delta V to execute this burn. We've got about 1,200 left in the tank. So about 800 to do the burn, 1,200 in the tank, which leaves us 400, which is more than enough to achieve orbital insertion at the moon when we get there, which is great. We are under our delta V budget at this time, despite the fact that we did have to use this to circularize a little bit, but very little. I mean, we only used maybe 5-10%, something like that. We used less than 300 units of fuel out of a tank of 2,800. So, yeah, okay, so about 10%. Okay, we're gonna quick save before we warp. Where's my alarm clock? Alarm clock. Please warp me to my next maneuver. Thank you very much. Oh, look at the solar flare! Yet another mod I added in. How do we hide the UI? Is it F1? No, that's screenshots. F2 is to hide. Look how beautiful! Oh, it's gorgeous. It's just gorgeous. And actually, Kerbin looks pretty damn good too. Feels like we're in space here. I love that. So, that was our alarm. So, we are now 2 minutes and 37 seconds until the node. Burn time's estimated to be 2 minutes 15, so we'll start about a minute before we hit the node. Space is pretty. The Kerbals on the space bus are happy. Yeah, these are the Kerbals in the back. Jotrude, Stacey, Gerbis. I guess we could probably go like literally all the way to the back. Valfi should be right at the back. There we are. Look at that. All 16 passenger Kerbals feeling good. Ah, they're excited. They're weightless. I mean, they're still strapped down. We have advised them to stay strapped down. Well, this is a modern airplane, so they just tell you to keep your seatbelts on all the freaking time. But they definitely want to be strapped in while we perform this trans-lunar burn. Or trans-lunar burn, I suppose I should say. After that, we won't be hitting the juice anymore. So they're going to be free to float around for like multiple days. So that's going to be nice. And right now, the thrust weight is only 0.52, so the acceleration is only a half a G. So even if they were to like stand up, assuming they had their backs to something and we were burning, they'd easily be able to sort of stand up sideways and like jump quite high actually. So it should be okay, but we want them to be prepared. All right, we're accumulating a little bit of carbon dioxide, a little bit of waste. Someone already had to use the restroom a little bit of wastewater. That's okay. We gave them a chance to do that. There's the moonrise, which is, again, if you're just eyeballing it, what you would do here is you would just set yourself to be orbital prograde and then burn when you see the moon. We're a little higher than we were before, which means we actually have, like, our orbit's quite a bit high. There we go. We got to go for burn. And because we're higher up, you've got to give the moon a little bit more space here. If you were right at like 100-kilometer orbit, then you would be you would burn as soon as you saw it rise. Well, here we're good. So we got 50 more seconds of burn time going on. Again, only about half a G of acceleration here, so it's very gentle on our passengers. No problem there. No sciencing? No, we're playing in sandbox mode, so there's no need to science. Not that we're using any advanced tech at all. This is actually a pretty low-tech mission, but the thing is, even if we'd gotten here in career mode, there wouldn't be any science to be had, would there? No, we'd be pretty good. So 20 more seconds of burn. $10 seconds. Oh no, sorry, I'm reading that wrong. That's node time. We actually have, because I was gonna say, this seems like it's not going that fast. Sorry, we have another minute and a half of burn time to go. Level 39 Nerd says, to boldly explode where no Kerbal has died before. We've got 22 Kerbals with us, 6 crew members, and 16 passengers. We got 3 people who are part of the sort of piloting crew. We've got the pilot, engineer, lead scientist, and then we've got 3 flight attendants that also sit up front, which is, a lot, but this is, a high-end first passenger thing. Oh, right, I wanted to do some math here. So this mission, I didn't check right before we launched, but it's starting somewhere at about $250,000 Kerbal bucks, right? So let's call it 300,000 for expenses because we budgeted in a rescue, divided by 16, 30 seconds left to our burn. That leads to a cost of 18-ish thousand per Kerbal. Again, that we added a little bit of padding, but you got to adjust, potentially for a rescue mission, etc. And of course, we've got to turn a profit. There's advertising, whatever. So you probably figure, we're maybe like 2.5% costs or 2.5 times costs. So we're probably charging these Kerbals about 50,000 Kerbal bucks each to do this, which honestly ain't too bad. Burn's about to end. 4, 3, 2, 1, and halt. Pretty bang on. How are we looking for lunar intercept? Well, we're looking like we're going to intercept the moon somewhat harder than we would like at this juncture. That's okay. We can easily make a little adjustment. We're going to do a radial, anti-radial kind of adjustment when we're about halfway down our orbit. I mean, I could do a little bit of a retro here, which I think would be what we're looking for. You know what? I could probably just manually do that here. That would be okay. We're going to go retrograde, and I'll just do a bit of a retro burn here, and that should be more than sufficient. We've got, wow. Okay, we've got to save some of this delta V for the actual orbital insertion at the moon. But other than that, we're pretty good. So I can afford to do a little bit of an adjustment method here. I should have actually been watching and just manually aborted the maneuver. It's because we started, I think, a tiny bit late. Oh, no, it's going the wrong way. Oh, no, we've overshot quite a bit. We'd be coming in here and orbiting the wrong way around. So, yes, burn retrograde, flip those 2 around. There we go. Yeah, we definitely overshot. So we're definitely wasting a bit. But I'm using very little delta V to correct this. There we go. So this would put us in an orbit about 20 kilometers above the surface of the moon, which I think is swell. So just a tiny bit of delta V to make that adjustment, and not much at all. Let's quick save that. So when are we going to encounter the moon? Just over a day. So again, it's about 3 days round trip, but I wanted at least a month of supplies, just in case we happen to run out of delta V for our encounter back to Kerbin and we have to run a rescue mission. We're going to have enough supplies to last. It didn't add that much extra weight, but we could have tuned it down quite a bit, saved a little bit of weight, which does, skyrocket or snowball, because then you'd need less weight for the liftoff, which means you need, less weight for this, not only less weight of the supplies, but less weight for this fuel, and so on and so forth. And every stage would become much, much lighter and have much, much more power. No, I was set to node prograde. Oh no! I hit node then pro. You're right. I thought I'm node prograde, but I should just left it on that. You're right. I absolutely did. I was on the wrong node calculation there. That was part of it. for sure, and I didn't burn quite correctly. So it's been a while since I played. I forgot how to use the smartass. I mean, I could have also just used the built-in SAS and, you know, lock to maneuver if we had a node, but